Welcome to another edition of the Show Me Hoops podcast. I'm Coach David Heeb, and I'm joined by my buddy, Coach Josh Herring, head basketball coach of the Malden Lady Green Wave. Coach, how's it going today?
It's going great. Yeah, it's a little sloppy weather, but it's going great.
Yeah, and we had talked this morning. You sent me a text last night. We texted back and forth last night and this morning, and picked up a big win over St. Hornersville, where both of us used to work. And so,
yep.
You probably saw a few familiar faces against the Lady Lions there and picked up a nice win.
Yeah, it was fun going up against some of the coaches that I used to work with, and even some of the players that I used to coach up as even when they were from little bitty all the way up to where they're at now. It was nice seeing those players and those people.
Absolutely. And so talk a little bit about your team. This is your first year at Malden, and for folks that are not familiar with your background and your career, you're an Arkansas boy, grew up in Arkansas, played in Arkansas, crossed over here into Missouri with your job there at St. Hornersville. You were the junior high coach there for years. You coached the girls, coached the junior high boys. You did a little bit with the high school girls, and now this is your first year at Malden. So how has it gone so far in trying to build that program up?
It's been a rebuilding year, and the mindset with it, even when I got hired, was a good foundation from the get-go with the seniors that I had, and just tried to work the younger groups up, and that was the key to everything, is just building that foundation from the bottom and working our way up. And the junior high season, they did a spectacular job this year. They ended up finishing 7-6 this year after going 3-8 last year. But one of the more impressive things that junior high bunch did was not only did they finish out with the winning season, but they scored over 250 points more this year than what they did last year.
Oh, wow.
And, yeah, it was when I added all the numbers up, it was pretty impressive scoring-wise, and the idea was just put the ball in the hole. Get the ball and put it in the hole. And from what I understand with that junior high bunch is they hadn't had a winning season in the junior high alone in quite a while. And for me to go in there and work with those girls and put good quality time in with those girls, that was the result of us, finishing like that the way they did. The high school is we're 3-7 right now. Could be a little bit different story here and there. I'll take all the problems with all that, credit for all that. Being a first year high school coach, it's a little different coaching high school than what it has been with the junior high. And but the girls are improving. They're getting a whole lot better. Had a tough start to the season, but we played Kennett last Thursday night and played Zenith last night, and they're starting to mold together and take shape in my style of basketball and the way I see basketball is starting to come out in the varsity team.
And so elaborate a little bit on that. What's your philosophy? What is the style that you want to play?
Coming from Arkansas, I grew up watching Nolan Richardson and the Arkansas Razorbacks, and it's the fastest 40. With Mike Anderson, Mizzou got to see a little bit of it. University got to see a little bit of that, and Mike Anderson brought that idea back when he got hired back to Arkansas. And my uncle and my aunt were both coaches, and they coached under that lifestyle of just a run and gun, and it's just ball pressure, really. When you break down into it, it's just a defensive mindset to where your defense transitions into your offense, and like I said, you just get the ball.
So how are you trying to instill that philosophy at Malden defensively, are you inclined more to be a man-to-man pressure coach or a zone pressure coach, or is that going to depend on the type of team you have year to year?
With the junior high, we played a whole lot of man defense this year. Actually, I didn't even get out of the man at all. I really, with me being the head coach, I really would love to see in the younger groups see that man pressure. It does end up transitioning later on as they grow up in life. It helps out basketball-wise. Even if you do have to go into the zone, it just makes your zone a whole lot better. Now with the varsity bunch, they've been zone mentality, zone-minded throughout their whole entire career. For these seniors, especially from 5th grade all the way up into to their senior year, they've had that zone mentality. So it was early on I dabbed in it, in the man philosophy, man principles, but it just wasn't going to work for us. So the good zone just happened to play out of that, and we're able to see success out of it going into our conference play.
Wow, and that's the thing that always fascinates me, especially thinking more on the boys' side for a minute, but it's the same thing on the girls' side. With boys' programs, you think about, at least I do, in terms of who is a football program and who is not a football program. In other words, when I was at Bell City, we don't have football. We don't have a fall sport ahead of us. We can get a little further ahead with, our preseason conditioning, going out running the mile, having open gym, things like that. Whereas when I was at Crothersville, we have football. We don't have those kind of opportunities because probably 80% of my team was football players, and I encouraged that. I thought that was good for those guys to compete together and be on a team together, and they were underneath a great head coach in Nathan Morgan, who was a good friend of mine. So I thought, anytime your kids got a chance to compete together and be under another good coach, that's good for them. And so it was different for sure because I didn't have as much time. And so I felt like I needed to install more zone principles, kind of like what Greg Hollifield has done at Sykeston. With girls, you do have some fall sports, and, I know at Malden they have volleyball and some other things for those young people to do in the fall. So talk about, what's that transition like, especially I know coming from Zenith, where, they have fall sports, but you were there at Warnersville where you started the school year out with junior high basketball. And you had those kids right away. What's that been like for you there being there at Malden where with your high school kids at least, you don't have them right away? How do you make up for that time?
You try to just put in as much time as you can, and you know this, you've got to at least have those 14 practices before you can play a game, according to the Missouri bylaws. And it's a tough time. I mean, from volleyball from the end of the season to volleyball to that basketball season, there's very little time there, about a month. And when you take the weekends out of the situation, it gets pretty tight because through the school days it's not just you out on with your teams practicing. You got the boys that are coming up. Junior high boys are in their season still playing, and then junior high season girls is still going on at that time. And this year, our volleyball girls, they ended up winning the districts out of it and going into sectionals, so that added an extra week into the mix. And really, just with that being said, this year for me, you had to play a lot of catch up and just put some stuff in. Like I said, we tried man off right off the bat, and it just wasn't going to work for us just because we just didn't have the time for that. And you don't try to beat them up too much with it. And just as a coach, I come to the realization, they're used to zone, they play a zone, and they've ran it this way for a while. And so I just did that philosophy. And what I've been taught as a coach underneath that zone defense, and kind of throughout several practices here lately and through several games, just kind of made it my own through that zone defense, which I talk about man quite a bit this year. But when I was at Zenith, the zone is all we ran, and that's all we did, just because of the athleticism and the talent that was there. At Zenith, it just wasn't there, so we had to really build up on skill level much higher than at Malden.
Absolutely. And so going, not to wish this your way or anything like that, but going into year 2, now that you've had a whole school year with them and, you've got an opportunity to touch base with these people during the spring, you've got a summer with them, do you think that you'll have the same philosophy going into year 2, or do you think that this is kind of giving you a good template and a good lesson for maybe what you might have to do with your program next year?
It's going to be a good lesson. We're going to be losing. We're going to be losing 4 seniors after this year, and I only have 1 junior that's going to be coming back, and then the rest are sophomore and freshmen, and so we're going to be a very young group. So it's going to be a little bit of both of a lesson and be a blessing at the same time, because just because I have the junior high team, those 8th graders that are coming up into 9th grade, and I'm already had those for 1 year, and those girls know what we're going to be doing and the style, and so it does help knowing those players. Having those players the year before. It's going to be a lot better than what it was this year, I hope. But we're just going to be very young. But we'll still stick to the grind and work hard every day to get a little bit better, and that's life. That's your quality of life, is to make yourself better than what you was yesterday, and that's the idea, and that's what I tell those girls every day. Just come in and be a better player than what you was yesterday.
So basically, what you're trying to tell your kids is today, like just today, just win today.
Yeah, just win today. Absolutely.
Basically, it's the same thing. I mean, and I laugh, but I'm being serious. I say that all the time to people. I'm like, that's really like my mantra. Really every day is that's all you have control of is what's right in front of you. We can't. Like you guys had a great win last night. Hey, if you had lost or you had won, you can't change it.
No.
In other words, that win's not going to carry you through the rest of the year. You got to come back and you got to get back to work. And and vice versa. If you got the biggest game on your schedule all year on Friday, the only thing you can control is this practice you got today. So you need to get better today. And we need to make, we can't just go through the motions today. We've got these 2 hours or 2.5 hours, whatever we've got. Let's make these 2.5 hours good. Let's make it a quote unquote win. And that's really my philosophy. That's really my mentality. And I think that applies to everyday life. It applies to you and me as adults. And, sometimes we got days we don't feel like getting up and doing things. But, I know I can control what's right in front of me. And I can try to make that as productive as it can be. And so it sounds like you got those girls headed in the right direction there. Who you got next?
We have South Pim Thursday night on our home floor. And then we have Caruthersville Monday night on our home floor, and then Porterville next Thursday night on our home floor. So we've got a little stretch right there where we got a good opportunity to get a little better every day. Absolutely.
And so some good, exciting Boot Hill basketball action right there. And so, gosh dang, you're making me homesick, Coach, when you start talking about that Boot Hill basketball.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's Boot Hill basketball, and it's at its best. Just up and down the floor, run and gun.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's I go watch a lot of games up here, and I tell people that the difference about the Boot Hill is, number one, and I mean this literally, the geography, how flat the earth is down there. It makes it easier to travel. It's easier to build a road if the ground's flat than it is, climb up over a hill and build one. And so
yeah, it's not as hard to climb up a hill down in the boot.
No, it's not. And so the roads, how towns are connected, all that is easier. Schools are closer together. It's, so that it creates a little bit different environment as far as you know, you can really have a rivalry with more than one school. You know, you can have 2 or 3 or 4 schools that you have a real high familiarity with, I guess is what I'm saying, like where you're used to playing each other maybe more than once a year in tournaments or whatever. And so, you know, it's just a different animal being down there. You know, you don't have as many big schools down there. There's not as many 4 and 5A schools down in that part of the state as there is in, you know, other parts of the state. And so, you know, it's a lot of 1A, 2A, 3A against each other. It's nothing to see a 3A play a 1A or a 2A play a 3A. It's you know, it's far more common down there than it is, I think, where I'm at now. And so, you know, just some of those rivalries. I mean, I think what I'm saying is, if you're good, you're just good down there.
Yeah,
you know, you don't hear as much about 1A Advance took down, you know, 4A Notre Dame. You don't hear that as much down there. It's just Advance beat Notre Dame. You know, because
that's right.
People know Advance is good and they know Notre Dame's good. You know, like so. It's explained. And whereas up here, you know, a lot of times they have to qualify it with, they beat a 3A school. And whereas down there, if you're good, you're just good. You know, and there's something special about that basketball down in Southeast Missouri. That's for sure.
Yeah, and when you're good, you use good use advantage of it, you know, you try to go in and win those games that you're supposed to. That's for sure. And a lot of the schools are just every year are just evenly matched, and you just never know. When you look on that schedule, you don't look at your schedule in the boot hill and say, well, we're going to win this one, we're going to win this one. There's a lot of question marks. Like I've had a lot of question marks this season. Of course, I've been out of girls basketball for some time, but you know, you just never know night in and night out who's going to upset who in the boot hill, and it's just good basketball.
It is good basketball. A lot of good teams down there, a lot of really good coaches, and you know, for those of you that are out there listening to this, you know, Coach, in the last year we've had over 100,000 people on the website, on the podcast, on the YouTube channel. Like in some shape, form, or fashion, over 100,000 people have come to listen to stuff like this. And for everybody out there that hears this stuff, I'm telling you right now, Josh Herring is one of the good guys in coaching. He's one of the harder workers I've ever been around. And I got no doubt in my mind that good things are ahead for that Malden program because you're the guy leading it. So
I appreciate it, Coach.
Absolutely, and I mean that. You know it. I mean, I think you guys are going to do big things. And so keep up the good work and let us know how you're doing.
Absolutely, I appreciate communicating with you every day. Either whether it's just a quick hello or you know, we're sitting on the phone and talking for 2 hours at a time, talking nothing but basketball. I enjoy it every time.
That's right.
We get a chance to come together.
That's right. Well, we're sure rooting for you.
Well, I appreciate it, Coach. We're working our butt off, that's for sure.
I guarantee it. We'll do this again.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Okay. Later, Josh. Bye.
Bye-bye.